Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, SCOTUS makes a big immigration ruling, and Antifa's getting sentenced to 100 years in jail. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
I've never identified as a Republican. I was in the news today. We'll get to that later. And the reporter of an outlet that, shall we just say you could probably guess which one it was when they called me today, said, Ari, what are your pronouns? And I was laughing so hard, I do not remember if I actually answered the question. I was laughing so hard. Right? I was just laughing. I don't think the reporter knew what to do. This must be SOP, standard operating procedure for their outlet.
You were laughing at them?
Yeah. I was laughing at them, sir. Okay. When this thing happened, do I identify as a Republican? No. I've always identified as a conservative. I know a lot of you out there say, I'm a libertarian. You're not. I literally had this conversation with my sister-in-law this weekend. She said, I'm more libertarian-esque. I said, do you believe in open drug use? She said, no. I said, do you believe in defunding the police? She said, no. I go, guess what? You ain't a libertarian.
You like winning an election once in a while?
Right. A lot of people think to themselves, well, socially, I don't really care so much about gay marriage, or I don't really care so much about abortion or whatever. So maybe I'm not a conservative, but I'm fiscally responsible and I believe in national security and good government is Republican/conservative. No government, that's libertarian. I'm telling you, I love the libertarians. I've spoken at their convention before. It's a fun mental exercise when you realize if you continue libertarianism to its natural conclusion, you actually get Seattle.
Bless their hearts.
Bless their hearts. I love them. They're great, but that's a whole nother conversation. Why do I bring this up today? I will tell you why I bring this up today. Tucker Carlson says he is leaving the Republican Party, says he will not support the Republican Party in the upcoming election. Give a listen.
I would not support the Republican Party. There's no chance I would support the Republican Party. I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. I don't know what I'm going to do. But at this point, how could I or any American voter support a political party that's not loyal to the United States, that puts the interests of a foreign country above those of its own citizens? That's it's not possible to vote for people like that, and I'm not going to. And I think I voted Republican my entire life. I worked at Fox News, CNN, right. MSNBC. I've been a consistent defender for 35 years of the Republican Party. I mean, very consistent defender. But there's no defending this because it's immoral. And it's exactly the opposite of what a political party in a democracy is charged with doing, which is representing its own voters, its own citizens, its own nation. And they're not doing that. So, no, I'm out. And if I'm out, then I think a lot of other people are out.
Tucker, Bubby, I used to watch your show. I didn't like your show. One of my first reporting assignments was I had to write Tucker Carlson's monologue every night. I had to transcribe it and put it out there into the world. And I got to tell you, I thought you were crazy back then. I said, why do people like this guy so much? I am not a fan of what he says. And I remember looking up at the time. I said, I wonder if this guy's actually a Republican. Turns out Tucker Carlson was a registered Democrat in Washington, D.C. from 2006 until 2020. He claimed that was so he could mess around in Democrat elections, Democratic primaries. The problem is the primary system don't work that way in Washington, D.C. Tucker Carlson has been talking about how wonderful Russia is. Has been talking about how wonderful Vladimir Putin is. This is a guy who's been taking the sides of terrorist organizations. This is a guy who's been taking the side of the Iranian regime against the U.S. I wonder if he ever really was a Republican. Working for Fox does not make you a Republican. How many token Democrats do they have on Fox News these days? You know who they are. I don't need to tell you that. He can identify however he wants.
I can name one.
You can name one. Is he still there? Does he still? I don't even know if he's still there. Anyway, yes, we all can name one. But moving on here is that I'm not sure he ever really was a Republican. I'm not sure he ever really was a conservative. Him saying he's leaving the party, he's been out of the party since, I don't know. When did this whole thing go down with Fox News? 3 years ago? 4 years ago now? Talking about how great Russia is, talking about how great the Iranian regime is, bashing President Trump, accusing President Trump of being caught up in some kind of sex ring, bashing Charlie Kirk. I mean, you name it, this guy hasn't been on our team for a very, very, very long time. So he says he's leaving the Republican Party. I would argue he probably hasn't been there for a while and may have said whatever he thought he needed to do to get a paycheck. I will say this. Am I happy with the Iran deal or the memorandum of understanding? No. But that doesn't mean I'm going to leave the party. It doesn't mean I'm going to go vote Democrat. It doesn't mean I'm going to not vote for Republican candidates. Because have you seen the Democrats right now? Oh, sure. Let's go have more boys playing in girls' sports. Let's go make sure parents don't have rights anymore. Let's just, I don't know, maybe I'm just spitballing here. Let's open the border wide open so millions of people can come into the country. Or better yet, let's defraud taxpayer money and give it to groups that we know will vote for us if we bribe them with enough money. Any of that sound familiar? Sure, let's go with the Democrats in this election. I argue that the reason the Republicans are still in better shape going into the midterms than they normally would be is because all the Democrats are running on is we hate Trump, we hate Trump, we hate Trump, but they haven't given you any alternatives. Is that enough in a place like Seattle, California, Chicago, New York? We'll see. But right now, I'm looking at the Democrat Party and they're crazy. Are you ever going to find a Republican, or any candidate for that matter, you're in 100% alignment with? No, of course not. Let's take a local race for a second here, okay? Let's take Adam Smith. Adam Smith, Democrat from Washington, represents Seattle and Bellevue. He is being challenged by Kshama Sawant. Kshama Sawant, the communist Marxist, whose policies we are still dealing with in Seattle today. So I'm going to take a look at that race, and I'm going to say, well, let's see. Moderate-ish kind of Democrat or Kshama Sawant? That's what that's going to come down to. Look, Doug Bassler is a Republican in the race, and I'm going to vote for Doug Bassler in that primary, and you should vote for Doug Bassler in that primary too if you vote Republican. But if Doug Bassler doesn't make it through that primary, I'm going to have to take a really hard look at Adam Smith versus Kshama Sawant and decide if I do that or write in my dead grandfather. Because there are some things occasionally we agree with Adam Smith about. Now let's take President Trump. I agree with President Trump on 70, 80% of the stuff that he does. And just because I'm upset over the Iran memorandum of understanding, it doesn't mean I'm walking away from the party. That's the quickest way to kill your audience. We've seen other people do that before. It doesn't mean I'm going to just walk away from the Republican Party. It doesn't mean I'm going to say I'm not a conservative anymore. And yet, who hops on the Tucker Carlson bandwagon? Candace Owens, Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, Theo Vaughn. These are all people that, please, give me a break. They're all mad at Trump. They feel like they've been slighted by Trump. I don't know what Tucker's mad about. Trump was nothing but nice to Tucker. Tucker just doesn't like a few policy items, which I think are more in line with his Democrat ideals than with anything Republican. He walks away. But all these other Looney Tunes, they feel like scorned girlfriends or something. That's what it's like.
I don't think you can rope Theo Vaughn into a discussion about ideology.
I was getting there for a second. And then there's people like Theo Vaughn.
Yeah.
He's like a grown-up stoner. I don't know what his ideology is. And you know what?
It's like if a possum was a man.
That's exactly what he looks like. That's exactly what it is. And yet, our vice president says, oh, yeah, I always listen to his podcast. That's the guy to talk to.
Have you given it a go?
I have given it a go.
It's pretty fun.
It is not my jam.
Yeah,
not
some of us didn't
jam.
grow up in Roy, and it shows.
But I'm not going to leave the party because I'm upset about one deal, even if it's something I happen to care a lot about. So Tucker Carlson saying he's leaving the party. Do you realize the fight we're in right now? Do you realize the fight we're going to have in the midterm elections? I'm not going to say this is the most consequential election of our lifetime. Do you realize what the choices are right now? In New York, tonight we're going to find out if the Democrat Socialists of America, who are all endorsed by Zoran Mamdani, his Hamas slate, as it's being called by the New York Post, are going to run the table. And then you've got a choice between moderate Democrat or radical Hamas-supporting communist. Or in some of the races, Republican or radical Hamas-supporting communist. That's your choices in New York. In Dearborn, Michigan, you're going to have a choice between Hamas-supporting communist and a moderate Democrat. In New Jersey, you're going to have a choice between a guy who is a member of Al-Qaeda, I kid you not, and a moderate Democrat. But then in the races where you have Democrat versus Republican, you're going to say you're leaving the party? Let's look at President Trump's election in 2024 for a second. Did he sweep the swing states? Yes. Was it a landslide victory? Not when you look at the numbers. Little voting groups here and there in the swing states helped deliver the swing states. So, for example, the Amish in Pennsylvania, the Jewish people in Pennsylvania, lots of these groups that hadn't been politically activated before helped make the difference in those swing states. So every single little vote does make a difference. And if a huge block of people that identified as Republicans stay home, they hand the race to the Democrats. Anybody remember a guy named Semi Bird? Anybody remember a guy named Dave Reichert? Anybody remember that? I couldn't figure out. All the people yelling and screaming at me, you betrayed Semi Bird. He entered the race with 10%. He left the race with 10%. He did not have a chance.
I thought we had a little more influence than that. Wish we could have knocked it down to 8. Just kidding.
Very good. Very, very good, Zach.
Send your angry emails to ari@kvi.com.
That's very good. But in this race, every vote is going to matter, especially if the Supreme Court, which, by the way, we're in Supreme Court decision territory. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. If they come out with all the voter integrity decisions we think they're going to come out with, then you lose your excuse of, oh, my vote doesn't matter anyway. You lose all of that. If it's just going to be election day, whether they're mail-in ballots or not, guess what? You're not going to have these late returns you have anymore. By the way, Colombia, their election, 25 million votes, hand counted, had results in 3 hours. So, yes, we have voting problems we have to deal with. But am I going to leave a party because I'm mad over one little thing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So how are things going in the Middle East, by the way? Well, Secretary Rubio has been sent out to the UAE. And while he's out in the UAE, I think we're hearing from Secretary Rubio because the White House realizes it has a messaging problem. What is the White House's messaging problem? Is that a lot of people right now are concerned about what J.D. Vance has said. Now, a lot of other people are just happy to have this thing over. According to a new Daily Mail poll, President Trump's approval rating has shot up to 47% because a lot of people are like, at least my gas prices are going down. Is that going to be enough to help in the midterms? We will see. But Secretary Rubio gets sent out to the Middle East, and he's clearly the adult in the room calming things down because there's a PR problem at the White House right now. President Trump literally today was saying he needs to educate more Republicans about the deal because he thinks a lot of them have the wrong impression about the deal. Mr. President, I am happy to have you back on the show. Would love to have you back on the show to educate me on the deal because I'm reading the deal and I'm not liking the deal. And as I said before, Mr. President, I love you. I do love you. I love so many of your policies. I love your sense of humor. I love your dance moves. I love so much about you. So you get benefit of the doubt. Tell me what I don't know. You say there's a mechanism in place to make sure that the money that we are unfreezing doesn't go to terror. Great. What is that mechanism? Iran is claiming they're not letting in IAEA inspectors. Okay, you say that they are. Is this them saber rattling, or is this actually a problem? Educate me. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I am happy to learn. But for right now, I have a lot of questions. Does that mean I'm going to leave the party? No, absolutely not. And I bet if we asked all of you out there, what would make you leave the party? You'd probably say, it's not this. It would have to be 20,000 things. Because President Trump has been one of the best foreign policy presidents of my lifetime, both in term 1 and term 2. So he gets a little grace. I don't like the deal, but he gets a little grace. So my question is here, was Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, any of them ever actually Republicans? Or were they just obsessed with President Trump? And when they feel they get slighted by President Trump, they bail. They're out of here. They leave. Because they sound a lot like Democrats. Or is it like what we see right here on the text line from Chris in Arlington? He says Tucker is changing his ideals to chase money. Capitalism at its finest. Maybe he'll get an airplane from Qatar. You never know how these things, you just don't know. John in Auburn says, Master Hoffman, the TDS is strong with the Democrats. They have nothing else to run on. That's it. They have no ideas. Can anybody here in the audience tell me what the Democrat policies are? Well, let's see. It's boys playing in girls sports. That's an 80-20 issue going the wrong way. Open borders issue. 80-20 issue going the wrong way. Not letting parents have full parental rights. 80-20 issue going the wrong way. So all they have is Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. Here's one here. This one from the 253. Let's test the limits of liberalism. You, Ari Hoffman, march into the Capitol and declare you identify as the one and only governor of Washington State, then sue anyone who says you can't do that. That would actually be funny, by the way. I identify as Governor Turd Ferguson. Oh, God. My whole body's just shaking thinking about that. That's bad news. Absolutely bad news. I don't think that would work out. I think they'd probably arrest me and institutionalize me. I don't even think they'd see that as a radio stunt. But guys, do you realize what's on the line right now? You have these Hamas-supporting, anti-American, anti-capitalism lunatics who are on the ballot coast to coast. And while they were losing a lot of primaries up until recently, now they're winning a lot of primaries. I know nobody here can vote in New York. Actually, maybe you can. They have really lousy voter ID laws like we do. I bet you could probably register right now. Polls don't close for another 40 minutes. I wonder if you could register right now and vote in New York. I wonder if you could actually do that. But what we're going to see out of New York tonight and a few other states tonight, because this is the big primary where you see all these Democratic socialists who know that they wait for an off-year election, a non-presidential year election, take advantage in these small districts, these small races, and if you think they can't win, that's how we got AOC. Defeated a longtime congressman who is a moderate Democrat to win that seat. This is what can happen, and this is what's at stake. You're mad at the Republican Party. You're mad at Trump. You're mad at conservatives. Consider the alternative. We'll bring you the election results throughout the night as we get them. I think the polls close there around 7 p.m. Eastern time, which is around 4 o'clock our time. So we'll keep an eye on that for you, because we need to see if there's still a Democrat Party anymore. The things that the Democrats are saying to save their own skins is abhorrent. We will see if we actually have a Democrat Party when the polls close in New York, or whether it's been completely taken over by the Democrat Socialists of America. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Top news story locally in Seattle involves a big fire, and you might have seen me on the news. We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Everybody who listens to the show for a long time knows I never, ever sleep. That is just not something I do. I really don't get a lot of sleep at night, unfortunately. So I usually wake up around, what time do I usually wake up? I wake up around 6:30 in the morning. Why? Because morning services are at 7 o'clock, and then my day begins. Because I go to sleep so late at night, I am the world's worst morning person. I really, really am. It is hard for me to get moving in the morning, and I am not a fan of coffee. I have one of the girliest coffee orders you have ever heard in your life because I'm one of those people who coffee tastes like dirt to me. So I have to cover it with hot chocolate and all this other garbage just so I can choke it down.
Says the guy who likes scotch.
I love scotch. Scotch tastes
water.
great. No, scotch tastes wonderful. And I feel magical after. Wait, hang on. Ari might have a problem. All right, anywho. So I don't do the coffee in the morning. And plus, in the Jewish tradition, you don't eat before services. You go to services. So I'm not seeing anything to eat until about, services usually half hour to 45 minutes, depending on the day. So I'm not eating anything before 8 o'clock in the morning, and I've been up for an hour and a half at that point. I am crabby. I am not happy. This morning, I roll over, and I see that I missed a text at 5:18 a.m. 5:18 a.m. It's an hour and a half before. So I roll over, I grab my phone. Hi, Ari. It's Ranji from Cairo 7. I'm at a fire near what I remember was your home. Is it your synagogue? Wait, what? What are you talking about, man? So I literally wrote, wait, what? That is my synagogue. And then what happens is I call him immediately because if he's up at 5:18 a.m., that means he's got the night shift over at Cairo. Dude, what's going on? He goes, oh, I'm sorry to be the one to break this to you, but there's a building here on fire. It did what? I'm like, hang on. I'm going to put some pants on. Now, my son is going to camp today, and I got to drive him to the airport after morning services. So I run downstairs. I wake the teenager up, and I say, teenager, throw your bags in the car. We gots to go. So I run back upstairs, clean myself up, make my hair look a little less crazy than it was. Good thing for me, it's receding, so you don't see so much of it. And I drive on down to the synagogue. I see there's those tapes those yellow tape that the fire department put up. I stupidly drove through them because they were high enough that my car could fit through them, and because they left them high up for the fire trucks, I'm like, this doesn't apply to me. Pull up the back driveway where there's fire hoses everywhere, and wouldn't you know, one of the buildings at the synagogue was on fire. Now, it wasn't the synagogue itself. Let me be perfectly clear. Our synagogue campus has a few buildings on a campus. Got a youth building, got a ritual bath building, and we have a funeral home on campus. Why do we have a funeral home at the synagogue? For Jews, you have to be buried in a Jewish cemetery. And you have to be ritually prepared in the Jewish fashion before you get buried in the Jewish cemetery. Our funeral home handles about 90% of the Jewish funerals in Washington State. And also, we get calls from time to time from other surrounding areas. Sometimes we get calls from Alaska. Sometimes we get calls from other places. You remember that guy who passed away a few years ago after he died while he was climbing on Mount Rainier, a Jewish guy? Fell down, slid into a crevice when he was hiking. That was something our funeral director dealt with. That kind of stuff we deal with all the time. In fact, the term Bikor Cholim, which is the name of the synagogue, name of the cemetery, means helping the sick. When the Jewish community first came out here in the late 1800s, it was about helping those who were sick who had come out here to settle the area. It was a lot of that. So actually it evolved, because you can't help everybody. Unfortunately, some people die, into a funeral home. And that has been something that actually helps pay the bills for the synagogue. So what happened was this fire sparked, some kind of electrical fire in the garage area where they build a lot of the coffins and stuff. Some kind of, at least that's what they think so far. They don't think it was arson, but we're double checking all the cameras to make sure. Some kind of fire sparks, and the building goes up at 3:30 in the morning. Now, luckily, nobody was hurt. Luckily, nobody was hurt. And here's the better thing. No bodies were damaged, because there were bodies in the facility. In Jewish tradition, you can't do cremation. So there's no crematorium. It wasn't anything like that sparked. So the good news is no bodies were harmed. We believe that when somebody dies, you put them in a very simple wooden box. You wrap them in very simple shrouds, because how you came into the earth is what you leave this earth with, and you're returned to the ground from which you came from. That's what we believe. So for a body to get damaged or a body to get destroyed, it would be an awful, awful thing in Jewish tradition. We treat it like a rental. You want to return that rental car in the shape you got it in, or, with a few miles on it, right? We would think of it the exact same way. So you don't want anything to happen to the bodies. There were 2 bodies. Thankfully, those bodies, one of them got buried today, and the other one, I believe, got transferred to a new facility when his funeral is another day or 2 from now. Luckily, they were in the big refrigeration units, which were not damaged in the fire. A lot of you have been reaching out to me all day today saying, was that your synagogue? Can we help in any way? And I'll tell you something, it's been very, very nice that you guys reached out. It really has been very, very nice. Right now, what we're looking for is another place to do the ritual washing and stuff that goes into preparing a body for burial. We're doing that right now because we need to find a new location until we can rebuild this one. And something else is that I'm concerned that the city of Seattle may not give us the permits we need to rebuild this thing. Now, it's too early for me to start hating on the city of Seattle for this. We don't know this yet, but I do know another funeral home that burned down a couple of years ago, a few miles away on Rainier Avenue. They still haven't rebuilt, and somebody told me it was because of permitting issues. I don't know that for sure. But hopefully, insurance will take care of what insurance takes care of. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the permits we need to rebuild all this stuff. And thankfully, no people, living or dead, were injured in any of this. So it worked out okay. So if you see the story on any of the local news outlets, just know everything's fine, and it really means a lot that all of you reached out. If anybody has connections with a funeral home that might have some space for preparation, please email me, ari@kvi.com. That's ari@kvi.com, and I would love to talk to you further about that. We'll do that. But the fire department really did an amazing job. Seattle Fire Department getting the fire under control, making sure it didn't spread to any of the nearby buildings or nearby houses, and it was a pretty big fire. And tonight, if you want to have a little fun, look at the story because I think it was on every single network in town, and see if you can guess which outlet asked me for my pronouns at the end of the interview today. Now, I like to think I have a rather masculine voice. Maybe not a masculine laugh. It's kind of high-pitched, but I like to think I have a rather masculine voice. I think that should have been a no-brainer there, but who knows? This was a phone interview that I did. You want to help out, you want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, a court sentences a whole bunch of Antifa wackadoodles to 100 years in jail. I love that Trump's president. Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. Okay, Fox 13, you're kind of ticking me off. No, they weren't the outlet that asked my pronouns. But more and more, Fox 13 is starting to sound like King 5. Ready for this one here? Here we go. I debunked this like a week ago, but I figured nobody was paying attention to it, so let's just wait till somebody does. Sorry, Fox 13. You're the first outlet to pick this one up. I saw the activists were all mad about this. You get my wrath now. Edmonds, Washington college student arrested by ICE in a parking lot. Now, I saw the activists mad about this a few days ago, and I thought to myself, I'd better reach out to ICE now. Actually, this was a few weeks ago. I think this was 2 weeks ago. One of our listeners said to me, Ari, have you seen this? And the activists are going bonkers crazy online. So I do what I do, and I reach out to ICE, and I got a statement. But before that, let's talk about our friends at Fox 13. Masked ICE agents arrested Edmonds college student Freddie Cruz Calderon in a campus parking lot on Saturday, June 13th. College President Amit Singh stated that the agents failed to provide their names, badges, or warrants before driving off, prompting campus security to follow state protocols that forbid assisting federal immigration agents. The arrest has left the campus community on edge, leading students to demand more resources and the teachers' union to establish a task force to improve internal communication and emergency alert protocols. Was this written by King 5? No, my friends, that is Fox 13. I actually find that I get more news from King 5 these days than Fox 13 at the rate they're going. So, shall we just back up a little bit here? When was this dated? Hang on a second. This was, Wednesday, June 17th. I had reached out to them for comment several days before that. Seattle arrested illegal alien Freddie Cruz Calderon, 48. Oh, hang on. 48. College student. It's nice you want to better yourself, but I have some questions there.
Still had some years of eligibility left in the NCAA.
That's what it was. We were doing the plot of Necessary Roughness. Let's bring back all the old guys to play the football because we don't have a football team.
Kind of a Rudy situation, isn't it?
A little bit, but Necessary Roughness, you brought like Scott Bakula as a fully grown adult and Sinbad to play on the team. It's a fun movie. You'll enjoy it, but The Replacements was better. Sorry, I'll just put that one out there. 48. Okay, this reminds me of the dude in New York at Columbia who was, 37 and still on campus? He had been there for 15 years, and I thought John Belushi was funny when he said 7 years of college down the drain. I mean, my son went to college for 3 years, got 4 degrees. What the hell are you guys doing? My son had 2 majors and 2 minors. I know. Such an underachiever, my child. Zach, you went there. You got a degree in 3 years? You're good to go? 4 years? What are we looking at?
I did a 5-year program in 4.
5-year program
and got a minor.
Look at that.
And held down a job dealing with you people.
Exactly. And he was an intern here at KVI and had to put up with Ari Hoffman.
I had to put up with John Carlson.
Okay. All right. That's right. He had to deal with, that's a whole different thing he had to deal with there. So
and it was the best years of my life.
There we go. Look at that. See, and he was at UW, by the way. Okay. The arrest took place on 200th Avenue Southwest, which is on Edmonds College property. He entered the United States legally in May in 2018 and was supposed to depart in November of 2019. He did not do so. Instead, he chose to overstay his visa, has not since obtained any form of legal status that would allow him to remain in the United States. He's being detained at the Northwest ICE Processing Center, pending return to Colombia. I have many questions about why the 48-year-old student, they make it sound like it's some 18, 19-year-old kid. 48 years old. What was the creeper doing on a college campus? It didn't say he was the janitor. It said he was a student. I have many questions. So, well, we don't know that for sure. I mean, as Edmonds is a commuter college, right? It's not like a stay on the campus kind of. But whatever, we don't know. I don't think there's much of a Greek life there on campus for him to be part of. Today,
the Greeks probably overstay their visa too.
Well, they definitely did in Israel. That's why the Maccabees had to get rid of him. Anyways, the Supreme Court today ruled that border agents can deny green card holders re-entry into the U.S. if they are charged with crimes. Now, it used to be convictions, but the Supreme Court has says if they are charged with crimes, which, by the way, if there's smoke, there's fire most of the time. You don't get charged with a crime unless you usually did something wrong. It is very, very rare, despite what every movie you've ever seen has told you. Usually, innocent people don't get charged with crimes. Not everybody's the hurricane, okay? And by the way, it's very, very questionable whether or not he was guilty or innocent. The movie makes it more black and white, but yeah, it's a little bit more questionable than that. In a 6-3 decision handed down on Tuesday, the Supreme Court ruled that immigration officers may consider pending criminal charges when weighing whether or not to readmit green card holders into the United States. This is huge. Quote, lawful permanent residents generally must be regarded as already admitted to the country and usually do not have to reapply for admission. So when the left says they're coming after all immigrants, no, this isn't applying to just citizens. No, this isn't talking about lawful permanent residents or anything else like that. It is talking about if somebody who has pending criminal charges can be readmitted into the green card holders, can be readmitted into the United States, because we've seen so many people time after time after time come here to commit crimes. Forget all the stuff on college campuses for a second. Look at all the fraud that's been happening in these communities. And then want to keep coming back and back and back and back. And when the left loses its mind, say, why? Why do you have a problem with this? Explain it to me. Explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. Explain to me why you have a problem with this. This wasn't the only big court decision today. Antifa leader Benjamin Song has been sentenced to 100 years for Texas anti-ICE terror attack. 7 other Antifa militants were also sentenced. Song had been convicted of charges that include attempted murder and discharging a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence, the most serious charge in the case. You remember that he had shot a police lieutenant in the neck during the attack on the facility. You remember he also shot illegal aliens in the attack. This is what this lunatic was doing. Finally, we're seeing real consequences for Antifa. We need to go after their funding sources. And no, I'm not leaving the Republican Party because they haven't gone after their funding sources yet. Up next, my friends, will Dan Goldman leave the Democrat Party? After all, he just got denied admission to a coffee shop because he's Jewish by a progressive. Or is he going to stick with his Trump derangement syndrome? Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I don't like Representative Dan Goldman. He is one of the people suffering most from Trump derangement syndrome inside the Democrat Party. This guy votes against everything I believe in, except he believes that terrorists are bad and Israel should have the U.S.'s support. That's it. Him and I literally do not agree on anything else. This guy is as far left as you can possibly get. So I was pretty surprised to see this story. Apparently, Dan Goldman was out with his daughter on Monday, and his daughter is 7 years old and had to use the bathroom. So he sees a coffee shop. Now in New York, let me tell you something, you cannot find a bathroom. You cannot find a bathroom anywhere. That is a desperate, desperate man who finds a coffee shop, and he goes, oh, please, God, tell me you have a bathroom. And the daughter goes in, 7-year-old girl, finds the bathroom, and he says, you know what, I'm going to pay for a coffee. He even tipped the person too. Okay, I'm not big on the coffee tipping thing because I'm like, that's your job. You didn't bring it to me. I just stood there. That's my thing is if you go above and beyond, then I'm a big tipper. But for basic stuff, no. But he was nice enough, and he did that with the bathroom thing. I probably would have done the same thing. And he leaves the store. Somebody in the store recognized him. Because I can tell you, as having worked in a dining establishment, you don't go through the till at night to go, which famous people happen to come into my coffee shop? Doesn't happen. You don't go through your security cameras. Gee, I wonder who was there today. Somebody saw him. Somebody took a picture of him. And then here's what happens. The coffee shop said on social media, they posted this. Their name is Poetica Coffee. Hey, Dan Goldman, we see that you stopped by our shop for a coffee. Do you see how it doesn't taste like genocide juice, or are you still having a hard time telling the difference? See, here at Poetica, we don't serve racist, fascist, homophobes, genocide enablers, or anyone in between. Too bad we didn't recognize you right away, or we would have turned you away. We issued you a refund. We don't need your money. It's probably coming from APAC anyways. Enjoy your loss on Tuesday. Don't ever come to Poetica. So, basically, banned for being Jewish. That's what it is, because he agrees with them on everything. In fact, his chief of staff, I think it's his chief of staff, it was revealed literally the same day that the dude has an affection for, shall we just say, leather equipment and items, and proudly wears them.
Some chaps.
It's not just, missing one part. It's missing all the parts. There's just like strings. I don't know if you call them chaps at that point.
Beyond buttless?
There you go. There's not much there. Now, I have to say, Dan Goldman was actually a class act when he replied to the thing. He responded to the post, and he said to them, I'm sorry to see this post. The barista could not have been nicer to my 7-year-old daughter and me, allowing her to use the bathroom, even though we had not purchased anything. I made sure to buy a coffee in return for her kindness. I hope you at least make sure she gets the tip that's deserved. Okay. He gets asked about this on CNN. And rather than saying, my party is being dragged to the left by psychotic Hamas supporters, he says this.
But come on, we're better than this, and we need to be better than this, and we have to stop dividing ourselves so much and try to find the common ground and unify, especially within the Democratic Party, because the person who is inflicting so much damage on every New Yorker's lives on a day-to-day basis is not 6,000 miles away. He's in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Okay, crazy. You lost me there. You had me till that moment, and you lost me. No, it is not Donald Trump who's the problem behind everything. But what the story shows, even Dan Goldman, a guy who is on the left, Trump-hating crazy person, can never be far left enough for the left. And if you disagree with them on one thing, they will run somebody against you, and he's being challenged tonight by somebody even crazier than him. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. When we come back, my friends, Seattle's budget gap is double what we thought it was. Thanks a lot, Katie Wilson. Tell you all about the taxes. I'm sorry, what she plans to do when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the feds find more fraud in Washington, and Katie Wilson has a $500 billion hole to fill. The question is she going to tax you or cut spending? Well, we know the answer to that, so you're going to need money, my friends. So it's a good thing that this week we have our Take the Trip or Keep the Cash giveaway going on, my friends. That's right. This week, you can choose to keep the cash, which is $3,000 in cold hard cash, or take a trip to Boston and Philadelphia. Sounds lovely. I love Boston and Philadelphia. Now, all you have to do is text the word I give you to the number I give you. That's right. Do not text your name. Do not text your phone number. Do not text your address. Do not text any other thing. Do not say, Ari Hoffman, you must have been really good looking as a teenager. Don't send any of that. Not that. Just the word itself. I promise you, if you are our winner, we will find you and we will reward you. Today's word is love. As in, I would love to win $3,000 in cold hard cash. As in, I would love to take a trip to Boston and Philadelphia. Text the word love to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win. Now, Seattle is talking about all the good things coming out of the World Cup. And you know what? It's great that we have a normal city for a few weeks. It really, really is. Today's good news out of the World Cup. According to Como News, Seattle's first week of international World Cup soccer tournament matches brought record demand for shared e-bikes and e-scooters in Seattle, with Lime reporting its highest single-day ridership ever in the city. Well, to be fair, who's normally riding the Lime bikes and Lime scooters? I usually see a homeless person taking them apart or throwing them off a bridge. Or, I don't know, some drunken moron going down on a Lime scooter and taking a big fall when they hit a pothole or something after they've had a few too many after a Mariners game. I don't know. It happens. It happens. Things happen. So I hear. They might have to go to the dentist afterwards. I hear they might have to get a few stitches afterwards. I hear these things happen more regularly than you would expect. I hear they do happen. But Lime said riders took more than 83,000 trips across Seattle on Friday, June 19th, setting an all-time single-day Seattle ridership record. Is that really fair, though? Because have we ever imported that many people before? No. This is good news. This is wonderful. This is fantastic. But it kind of feels like lipstick on a pig for a minute, right? Do you know that over the weekend there was a Lime bike near my house? And my son and my wife's cousin come home and they say, dude, you got to see this. And they took pictures of the Lime scooter. It had been graffitied with the N-word all over it and swastikas right near my house.
Their hate was so inclusive.
So inclusive. Let's get everybody. I think they just ran out of space for other groups, but they had it all on there. So actually, I posted it on social media and I tagged Lime in it. And I said, hey guys, you want, and to their credit, Lime was very responsive. And they asked me for the number on the bike. I guess they have some kind of tracking system. And they came and got the scooter that same day. So good on Lime for doing that.
I got to share a similar situation. It was the very first day of the World Cup. It was Monday, last Monday. And it's that first match, and I go down there to cover the sports at about 7 o'clock or something. I'm there way, way, way early for this noon game. And I took a Lime scooter that was right outside of our building and took it down there. Great, and got to the...
It wasn't covered with blood, this one,
No,
right?
That was Friday.
That was Friday.
Or Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Unrelated. But they were trying this new thing for the World Cup where you have to park the scooter in a designated scooter zone. And I don't disagree with this, especially down by the stadiums. You get all these people, all these scooters coming in, and they have lots and lots of these zones. I mean, it's not hard to find one. The problem is there was some sort of calibration issue or something with the scooter. So I was in the little parking space that it told me to be in, but the GPS unit for the scooter says I was in the middle of the road. And so it wouldn't let me park the scooter. And I'm like, I got to go do these sports reports and the scooters where it's supposed to be, but it wouldn't let me lock it. So it's just racking up time on my credit card. So I ended up calling Lime. I got through to a human being in 60 seconds.
Wow.
And they locked the scooter for me and said, oh, sorry about that. We'll work on it. And later in the day, it was a non-issue.
Fantastic. See, I actually like the other program, City Bike, for example. City has it on cities
Oh, what
on the
a
East Coast.
dumb, stupid program.
It's a stupid program, but what I like is there's a place to put them back.
Yeah, but I
That's
hate
the
it.
only thing. I know you hate it, but I like that there's a place to put them back so they're not all over the place.
The whole point is that they're all over the place.
Well, I get that, but you know what? One day somebody threw one off an overpass onto I-5, and the video of that is spectacular when it awful. But
I mean,
spectacular.
once in a while, you get a bad apple.
Yeah, like a blood-covered scooter. You never know when these things happen. They just happen when people fall off Lime scooters and they smash their face into the pavement and their cheek into the pavement and everything else when they're too drunk coming back from. These things happen.
Goodness.
They don't happen to me, but
doesn't
they happen
happen to
other,
me.
It doesn't happen to you. It doesn't happen to me, but it happens to other people.
I took a city bike in D.C. where they're all over but you go to the station, and if there's a bike in every slot, literally, I took one from the Capitol all the way up to the Cherry Blossoms or down by the Jefferson Memorial or Monument or whatever. And I made it back to the reflecting pool by the time I found an empty. So it was a moot point to ride this bike around.
I gotcha.
Because if when you get to your destination, if there's no place to park it, you're stuck.
Well, then you got a problem.
That's the problem.
I see. That's
why Lime Bike or Lime Scooter or whatever is so nice. You take it to where you want to go, and then the natural ebb and flow of the people. Usually, before a game, no scooters at the stadium. Everyone takes their scooter from around the city into the stadium.
And
After the game, then they take the scooters out back into the city.
Oh, no, sir.
That ebb and flow of the people.
That is not true, by the way. I will tell you. Back when I used to have the event rental company, we used to do the event up at Gasworks Park. We used to do all the bounce houses at Gasworks Park. And I remember the first year we do this thing, it's 3 a.m. or something, and we've loaded up all the bounce houses.
And you must be lonely?
I was about to say. You beat me to it. I was thinking, do I go there? But yes. Good. Well done, Zach. So we pack up these things. We're heading out. The street was filled with Lime bikes. Hundreds, if not thousands of Lime bikes. I don't know why nobody took them home. Everybody brought them there. Were you too drunk to, I don't know, go on a scooter? So maybe you get on the scooter and you're so drunk at the Gasworks Park after a Mariners game or 4th of July or whatever that then you just, okay, well, you know what? I'm just not going to take it. See, a normal person would say, maybe I shouldn't ride the scooter. Maybe. Anywho. So why do I bring all this up? You're going to keep getting these good news stories. We broke a transit record. We broke this. What about the everyday when all these people leave? Because at the end of the day, when all these people leave, you know what we find out? Seattle scored 130th out of 148 cities in the latest Best Run Cities in America study. If you're if you're 130 out of 148, they don't have a high opinion of your best run cities. Oh, and better yet, third year in a row. So can't even put this on Katie Wilson. That's at least 2 years of Bruce Harrell, now Katie Wilson. The study weighs financial stability, education, health, safety, economy, infrastructure, and pollution. Which means, since we're very, very nice and the air is very, very clean out here, you do realize that pollution probably was very, very low, and that knocked us up a couple spots because nothing else on that list is good at all. At all. Now, this is from Wallet Hub, so take it with a grain of salt. Okay, maybe we should look at some other indicators, shall we? Just 6 months into her first term, Seattle Socialist Mayor Katie Wilson is facing a budget deficit approaching $500 million. Okay, can we go back in time for a second? We had that guy, Bruce Harrell, who was our mayor, right? And things sucked under that dude. But our budget deficit was, what, $238 billion, I think it was? $238 million, I think it was. $238 million. And then I think it went up to $300 by the end of his time in office. She managed to do $200 million worth of damage in the 6 months she's been in office? Oh, well done. Seattle is now facing a budget shortfall of approximately $488 million over the next 3 years, roughly $100 million higher than any previous estimate. The city expects a deficit of approximately $175 million in the next year alone. Man, when those evil coffee shops move and take all their workers with them, man, it's really hard to get all that money back, right? Now, you would think You scared off a whole bunch of people with your taxes. Maybe we shouldn't do this again. Maybe we should look at cutting spending. That's a crazy idea, I know. Look, maybe just think about cutting spending. Maybe just a thought. Hang on a second. We now have joining us on the KVI studio line, Mayor Wilson herself. Mayor, what is your plan to solve this budget gap?
Taxes! Taxes! Beautiful, lovely taxes!
Okay, well, we know what her plan actually is. She acknowledged this during City Club with Fox 13 just a couple weeks ago. She said, we have some really severe budget problems in the city right now. We have a large budget deficit, which has been a structural deficit that goes, what does that mean, structural deficit? What does that mean? Do you mean that it's institutionalized at this point? Do you mean it's baked into the cake? Rather than ruling out new taxes, Wilson indicated that additional revenue options remain under consideration. Are we going to start making something? Are we going to start producing something? Are we going to start selling something? No, of course not. That would be crazy. Instead, a potential local capital gains tax and an expansion of Seattle's jumpstart payroll tax. So the tax that chased away Amazon, the tax that chased away plenty of other businesses over to Bellevue. You want to expand it? Oh, there's nothing behind that massive dome of Mayor Fivehead. This is just dumb. So dumb. Yeah, let's just double down on redistribute the wealth. Plenty of more businesses will leave. Not all of them have left yet. In fact, Zach, I don't know if you noticed this. When I was downtown the other day, I saw lots of empty storefronts, but you don't know they're empty because they've covered them over with like welcome to Seattle. Did you see that in your Westlake?
Oh, yeah. We swapped out all the plywood for vinyl plaques.
And it's very pretty, don't get me wrong, because
nice.
with all the people, you can fool them. It's like Rock Ridge and
the old
Blazing
Macy's
Saddles.
is like the old Macy's looks like some sort of, I don't know, just journey through time of Seattle. It's got Jimi Hendrix on it. And it's got us like, oh, look, eat, play, shop. It's so much fun.
Very
Seattle's
pretty.
beautiful.
It's like that facade that the people of Rock Ridge build in Blazing Saddles so they can fool the other cowboys when they come through to build their railroad. Or maybe it's just a movie effect where there's nothing there. Nothing there at all. So Katie Wilson apparently said nothing is off the table. Nothing at all. Oh, new forms of revenue. New taxes, I see.
I don't know, put some businesses in all those vacant office buildings. That would bring in some revenue.
Hey, what an idea. What an idea. Maybe repeal the Jumpstart tax because it's not bringing in the money you thought it would. And actually, it's costing you money. Just a thought. Throw that one. By the way, if she repeals the Jumpstart tax, she will lose the support of all her lefty supporters, but she will gain the business because the business is so desperate for a sign of hope. So desperate. They'll go, hey, she repealed it and Harold never did. Harold was asked about this while he was in office, and he didn't have the guts to do it. He had Sarah Nelson as head of the Seattle City Council at the time, pro-business person, and she wouldn't do it either.
Let me put it this way. Mayor Wilson, Katie, milady, listen right now. I know you're tuning in. There is nothing that would make Ari Hoffman more furious than having to go on air day after day and admit that you're the best mayor we've had in at least a decade.
Yeah. If she did that, she might actually qualify for that.
You would turn the city around, upset Ari to no end. What a glorious day that would be for you.
In fact, I might have to start using her real name instead of Mayor Fivehead. I would have to say Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson. I would actually have to do that from now on. I will stop all the Katie Wilson jokes if she doesn't raise taxes to fill the budget gap. I will stop all the jokes. I live here and I know they're going to hit me. I know they're going to hit me. According to Ryan Frost, Director of Budget and Tax Policy for the Washington Policy Center, only 3 months after lawmakers in Olympia raised taxes to balance this year's supplemental budget, the revenue those taxes were supposed to deliver is already coming in short. Oh, you mean this is just like the Jumpstart payroll tax, which cost Seattle 30,000 jobs and a whole bunch of money, approximately $410 million in revenue? Wait, hang on. If it costs you all this money, let's do a little math here. You're short about 500 and this thing cost you about 410. We can find the other 90 somewhere, right? Right? Ryan Frost noted that the Economic and Revenue Forecast Council's June update showed that the general fund state collections for May 11th through June 10th came in at $103.6 million, or 2.4% below February's forecast. So you're telling me the tax revenue is going down in Olympia and the tax revenue is going down in Seattle? What should our solution be? Anybody have a solution? I know. Maybe we could sell some of those trolley cars that nobody uses. Just an idea. I'm just throwing that one out there. Just a thought. Maybe we could stop maintaining those bike lanes that nobody uses. Just throwing that one out there.
How much are we spending on no turn on red signs?
Let's not forget she dropped $45,000 in printing costs for those temporary signs against ICE. $45,000, so much so that jeopardized other transportation budget priorities. She did that. How many things could we sell that we don't need? What could we get rid of? But instead of that, they're going to say, I know what they're going to say. We just know what they're going to say.
Taxes! Taxes! Beautiful, lovely taxes!
Yeah, that's what they're going to say. Employment fell by 3,800 jobs over the first 4 months since the February forecast. This is getting worse and worse. Employment is now 21,900 jobs below what the February forecast expected. Washington's unemployment rate rose to 5.2% in April, up from a recent low of 4.3% in December of 2023. And here's the thing, my friends. Our unemployment rate is higher than the national unemployment rate. That's how bad it is. So sure, let's just hit everybody with taxes. Oh, by the way, inflation went up too. Inflation's higher than the national average. So as high as inflation is nationally, it's worse here in Seattle. Oh, did I mention energy, by the way? Our energy costs are up 23.7%. That's your utilities. That's your gas. And that's any business that uses utilities and gas to get a product to you.
I knew things were bad when I went to Disneyland and thought the food here is not that bad. Pretty reasonable. But in all honesty, if she keeps taxing businesses out of the city, our U-Haul bill is going to keep going up, Ari, because we're going to have to go do shows at all sorts of different.
I still think we should go to Memphis. I'm sorry, Nashville. Let's go to Memphis anyway.
I'm not going to Memphis.
Let's go there. I think we should go to Nashville. I 100% think we should go to Nashville. I think we should set up a meeting with the governor and the mayor. And then we should go to the Starbucks, new Starbucks headquarters. And I think we should do the show from out there.
And probably Broadway.
And Broadway.
For news purposes.
Sure. And a few bars and a few other things. Well, we're there. I've never been to Nashville. I hear it's lovely. I hear I will enjoy it. Yeah, we'll go visit the Daily Wire while we're there too. Say hi to Ben. We'll go out there. We'll have a great time. We'll have a great time. If you want to sponsor our trip out to Nashville, all you got to do is email me, arikvi.com. We will make that happen, and we will talk about your company the whole time we are there. We will make that happen, arikvi.com. That's arikvi.com. I mean, after all, Janicki Industries selected Montana for $800 million expansion. Starbucks announced a $100 million expansion in Nashville, hiring 2,000 workers. Janicki's also hiring 2,000 workers. Meta laid off a whole bunch of other people here. Genie Industries, Novanta, Republic National Distributing Company, Delta Camshaft. I mean, how many more companies today? Today, somebody reached out to me from a national outlet. And they said, Ari, do you have a business owner I could talk to who took their business out of Washington State? I said, would you like a list? How many would you like me to give you? More than happy to provide some to you. This is how a city dies. And you can dress it up for the World Cup all you like. But afterwards, we're going to be the ones here. And we're going to be the only ones here. Because all the businesses and all the sports anchors and all the soccer fans and all the people riding those Lime scooters who survived will not be here anymore. They'll be long, long gone. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Up next, the feds announce a massive new bust with regards to fraud. And guess who's in the middle of it? Washington State, as always. Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show, my friends. We have a second contest for you all. We are giving away tickets to see Hinder live and in concert on July 3rd at 7 p.m. That's right, out at the Snoqualmie Casino. It's going to be them and Blackstone Cherry. Now, if you want to win these fantabulous prizes, head on over to KVI.com right now for your chance to win. Go to KVI.com right now. Go to the contest page. And where it says red, white, and win tickets to see Hinder, guess what you do? You enter where it says red, white, and win tickets to see Hinder. Give a little bit of personal information. We will not sell your information. We will not give out your information. We will just tell you about fantabulous contests, events, and more. So give them a little bit of personal information for your chance to win. You know who's winning right now? The Trump administration. That's right. Wins. Except for this one here. This one will get overturned by the Supreme Court. But I think the thing that a lot of us agree on, I have a relative. My relative's been working on analyzing SNAP benefits and seeing how they can stop fraud, abuse, and SNAP benefits. This is the thing they're working on. And they were talking with somebody who's a hardcore lefty. And when they were saying, yeah, we're trying to make it so people don't abuse those anymore, the person's like, that's a great idea. And goes, so you're in line with RFK Jr.'s thinking on Make America Healthy Again? The person goes, it's okay to admit it, guys. It's okay to admit that you shouldn't be using food stamps on beer, that you shouldn't be using food stamps on candy, that you shouldn't be using food stamps on soda. Look, I got to tell you, I cut out soda. Guess what? My waistline got a little thinner, not a lot thinner, but a little thinner, because it's not good for you. Tastes delicious, but not good for you. Candy, not good for you. Then you got to deal with the dentist, more expensive. So maybe we should cut these things out. Obama appointed U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson struck down state programs that would have limited what SNAP beneficiaries can buy with those federal funds. In working with the Trump administration, several states initiated pilot programs to prevent food stamp recipients from using that money to buy soda, candy, and junk food. Wait a second. So this judge is going, nope. Make sure the poor people have health problems. Make sure the people can abuse government welfare systems, not by buying, apples, oranges, eggs, milk, things like that. The healthy stuff, Brussels sprouts. Instead, all the red vines you can handle. They taste like wax, have no nutritional value, and just add inches to the hips. But sure, let's give them those. Let's do that. Yes, exactly. We'll do that to all the poor people.
From the Lorax.
Oh, no, I know what it's from.
He speaks for the trees.
Yes, indeed he does. Berman ruled Monday that Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins exceeded her authority when she approved the programs in Colorado, Iowa, Nebraska, Tennessee, and West Virginia. So I'll make sure I got this right. The states are saying, we want to stop this. The federal government is saying, we want to stop this. And along comes some random judge who goes, you must let them buy the soda. And not the diet kind either. Let them buy all the regular. There is no way Mountain Dew is good for you. Anything that has that color cannot be good for you. No way. So you had all these places that were saving this money, and yet they shot that down. Absolutely insane. Speaking of fraud, by the way, it will be overturned in the Supreme Court. 455 people have been charged by Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general for the United States, and the Justice Department for $6.5 billion in healthcare fraud schemes. Would you like to know who's in the middle of this, my friends? Washington State. Now, I have my research assistant, ChatGPT, pulling up all the data out of this report that they have put online about all the Washington State fraudsters, because I'm sure we are going to find a few companies in here that we might know. 455 defendants, including 90 doctors and other licensed medical professionals, for alleged participation in healthcare fraud and opioid abuse schemes involving over $6.5 billion in false claims and significant patient harm, including death. That's how insane this was. Absolutely crazy. So they had to suspend 1,079 providers for Medicare and Medicaid, revoking billing privileges of 1,400 plus providers, 48 civil monetary payments. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on of what they found. So here's one for you. Here's an example. This is kind of stuff they did. Charges were filed against 11 defendants, including a company executive and 8 medical professionals across 6 districts in connections with billions of dollars in fraudulent claims for all these different kind of wound allografts that may have not actually happened. In the District of Arizona, the vice president of sales for a company that sold allografts was charged in a nationwide illegal kickback and healthcare fraud scheme. For approximately December 2021 through June 2024, providers billed Medicare over $4 billion for this company's allografts, resulting in $2 billion in payments. The significant spike in allograft billings was alleged to have been driven not by medical necessity, but by a kickback scheme that generates substantial profit margins and lavish lifestyles for marketers and providers who participated. The company did not manufacture allografts and instead acquired allografts from tissue banks and relabeled them for sale at a 2,000% markup. The defendant is alleged to have paid illegal kickbacks of approximately $500 to $600 per square centimeter for the people. So you're giving money to the people who claim they're your patients. This is like a more extensive version of the kind of stuff we found in Minnesota. Now the stuff here in Washington, it's so much fun. Involves doctors. It involves so much right now. I'm actually going through the list, see if anybody I know is on this list. Any of my doctors, anybody I go to, any of the signs I recognize from around, anybody who's running ads on TV, who knows? We're going through this whole list right now. Hopefully we'll have all that data for you tomorrow. Also have a call out to HHS. Find out some stuff from their perspective. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, some people in Seattle are stepping up to end human trafficking because we know that increases anytime there's a major sporting event like the World Cup. We'll tell you what they're up to when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I don't often read the Cascadia Daily News, but when this article popped up, okay, I want to give it to you in the wild here. I'm just going to read it exactly how I found it. I'm going to skip the headline because that gives away the fun. In mid-May, as many Washington school districts were deep into developing their budgets for the next academic year, around 130 received notices that their rates for the Washington Schools Risk Management Pool were going up, and not just by a little bit, by an average of 45%. Well, I mean, my insurance went up and your insurance went up and everybody's insurance went up because of the bad policies here, right? Right? That must be it. No. 45% is a lot. School districts contribute funds to the risk pool instead of paying for traditional liability insurance. Those dollars are pooled to pay for settlements or costly claims against individual districts, keeping rates more manageable for all. Okay, so kid falls off the monkey bars. Do they even have monkey bars at schools anymore? Or do they decide those were dangerous? Kid falls off the seesaw. They definitely don't have those anymore, right?
Monkey bars were, I thought, discriminatory against the noodly armed folk like myself.
Yes.
So I am in favor of banning the monkey bar.
Ban the monkey bar. What about those drawbridge things that always start breaking and then you're just trying to break them more by jumping on them? How about those? Or what's the spinny thing?
The merry-go-round?
The merry-go-round, but it's the one that you like just run as fast as you can trying to make your friend puke on those. Those guys.
I was even all gone by the time I got there.
Okay. Those
just
are
swing sets.
Oh, those are swing sets. Yeah, because look at Inside Out Boy. What happened to him? You don't even know who Inside Out Boy is. Okay. More Nickelodeon for you, child. What is the actual main driver? It's not the monkey bars. It's not the swing set. It's not the merry-go-round. It's not the teeter-totter. A sudden increase in the cost of sexual abuse claims brought against districts. In the last years, the legal landscape has shifted in Washington for victims of sexual abuse in schools. Changes to statute of limitation laws in recent years have resulted in districts seeing claims from 20 or 30 years ago. A 2020 Supreme Court case also affirmed that school districts are strictly liable for the actions of their employees, even if they were not aware of the harm. Time out. Okay. I don't think it's the 20 or 30 years ago thing. I think it's that they're liable for the actions of their employees. And we know that these schools have an issue with covering these things up again and again and again. Deborah Callahan, CEO of WSRMP, a not-for-profit public entity risk pool that provides liability coverage to more than a third of the school districts in the state, said the result has been a significant increase in the amount of money they're having to spend to settle claims. Well, why don't you just be better about who you're hiring? Maybe better background checks. Maybe when you hear there's an allegation, you put them on suspension rather than trying your absolute best to cover up for them. Some examples include Seattle schools paying a former student $16 million in 2024 for a sex abuse by a coach. A Federal Way Public Schools paying $15 million just last month to two victims sexually assaulted by a teacher. When an individual member of the pool faces a claim, the district's rate goes up, but so do the rates of every other district. Most of their members have never seen a sex abuse claim, but the claims they are now seeing are mainly historical. The risk pool had originally told members in February the rates would increase 18%, but a large cost in the cost of claims in the second quarter of the year meant a last-minute message to districts telling them to expect around a 45% increase instead. How many more of these cases have we seen? The spike has been astronomical. I remember right after the first of the year, not a week went by where we didn't have at least two of these cases somewhere locally. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. They can blame the historical stuff. It's happening now. And it turns out this is what happened when you're not pretty discriminatory about who you're letting into your schools. But there is some good news, my friends. As much as we're bashing on things Seattle Public Schools did, the new superintendent actually laid out that he's got a new plan for safety at schools. You ready for this? You ready for this? Weapons detectors. So what's the difference between a weapons detector and a metal detector? It's not a metal detector, so people don't freak out about it, right? But the second thing is, they're like what you're seeing at stadiums now. Have you noticed the metal detectors have been changed? They're this U-shape from the ground rather than a U-shape over you. They scan you and look for things. You don't even have to pull your keys out of your pocket anymore. So they're talking about putting those guys in. And when parents freak out about it, he says, well, they do it at sports stadiums. They do it at concert venues. Why shouldn't we do it at the schools? And this is exactly what him and I were talking about when I interviewed him last year. I'll have to go and reshare the audio from that because he's a man of his word. This is exactly what he said he was going to do.
And you and I both left that interview going, that makes sense.
That makes sense, right? That's a common sense thing. So good on Ben Schuldiner. That's a good, smart move. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Next up, final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories. Plus, Tucker Carlson says he's done being a Republican. Was he ever really a Republican? Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour of free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, Tucker Carlson claims he's leaving the GOP, but was he ever really there to begin with? But before we get to any of that, we go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from Mario and Kent. Mario, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Ari? Hey, buddy, question for you. Do you ever really expect any socialist, communist, Democrat to really balance a budget and not live within their means?
Well, Mario, I think you repeated yourself 3 times there. Socialist, communist, Democrat. I think they're all the same word these days.
I agree, but I just have to put it all out, because there are 3 words that are like synonymous with each other. The interesting thing is I remember even our state here having budget surpluses, and then I think when Christine Gregoire got elected, the surpluses disappeared, and now it just keeps getting worse. You see, the way they look at it is it's not good to be efficient and to live within your means, because you got suckers out there that are willing to vote for more taxes on themselves, and they know it. They have a lot of supporters that will vote for that. And the sad thing is, unless there's a fundamental change in thinking, it's never going to change. 500 million, then $1 billion, then $3 billion, then $7 billion. When you get to it, it's never going to change. It's never going to get better.
Yeah, it's never going to. And in fact, what they think is, well, the more money we get, the more we can use it to pay off these minority groups to keep voting for us, to keep us in power. Exactly right. Mario, appreciate the call, man. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. I do love the amount of you that texted in during the break to tell us that the word monkey bars is now racist. that's you people are terrible. Funny, though.
Not my circus, not my bars.
Ah, very good. Even in Bonnie Lake. No. Monkey bars are now racist. Jay, monkey bars, math, and music are all racist. Stilgar, they call them M bars now. Is that real? Is that for real? Okay, I have to check with my kids and see if they actually call them that, because that's kind of fun.
I call them discriminatory towards the noodly kids. That's what I continue to. I remember when I finally was tall enough to kind of touch and I could fake my way across.
Yes.
Just kind of tippy toe.
I was always pretty good at those. I was pretty solid at those. You know what I did? I climbed on top of them and walked across. I was one of those kids. That's right. See, use the brain power.
Break your collarbone a couple times?
Did not, actually. No, I was a cautious child. When I figured that out, that was about as risky as I was willing to get about that. And, going down slides backwards or face forwards, whatever, however you consider it. But then you didn't have to deal with the slides we had to deal with as kids. You know why? We had metal slides where you would burn your skin off going down them.
Yeah, we got the space age polymers.
Yes, we burned our skin off because we were also, it was the 80s and we're wearing the short shorts. That was all part of the package together. Yes, your skin
were those
just melting there.
Nutters, is that what they were called?
Is that what they were called?
I think that's what they're called.
I didn't know that's what they were called. Anyway,
if you remember short shorts.
Yeah. Speaking of nutters, by the way, Tucker Carlson has announced that he is now leaving the Republican Party. Here's what he said on some podcast I don't remember the name of, and I'm not sure how many people listened to just yesterday.
I would not support the Republican Party. There's no chance I would support the Republican Party. I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. I don't know what I'm going to do. But at this point, how could I or any American voter support a political party that's not loyal to the United States, that puts the interests of a foreign country above those of its own citizens? That's it's not possible to vote for people like that, and I'm not going to. And I think I voted Republican my entire life. I worked at Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. I've been a consistent defender for 35 years of the Republican Party. I mean, very consistent defender. But there's no defending this because it's immoral, and it's exactly the opposite of what a political party in a democracy is charged with doing, which is representing its own voters, its own citizens, its own nation. And they're not doing that. So no, I'm out. And if I'm out, then I think a lot of other people are out.
Dude, you haven't been part of the club in 4 or 5 years since you left Fox. And I would argue you weren't even really in the club then. You guys remember his opening monologues? They were kind of crazy. And if I went back and played some of them for you, you'd be like, is this guy a Democrat? Let's not forget what he's done since he's been in podcast land, praising Putin, going to Russian grocery stores and talk about how amazing they are, praising the Iranian regime, demonizing Israel, praising Hamas, praising terrorist organizations, having Holocaust deniers in the show. We don't want you. Fine by me. By the way, Tucker Carlson was also a registered Democrat in Washington, D.C. from 2006 until 2020. So tell me again about how he's been defending Republican ideals for, what did he say, 35 years? I don't believe you. He claimed the reason he registered as a Democrat was because then he could mess around in the primaries. Yeah, the problem is that Washington, D.C. doesn't have that kind of primary system. Methinks you're not telling the truth. Okay, so who is this foreign country he thinks that we're representing so well? Oh, I know, the Jews. That's the one he's talking. Which other foreign country? Because Tucker Carlson loves talking about Russia. Tucker Carlson loves talking about Iran and how wonderful they are. Such garden hotspots in the world. He doesn't like Israel. He doesn't like Israel. Now, let me ask you this, Tucker. Who are the people who are most mad about the Iran deal? Who are the people who are most mad about it? The people who love America and the people who are supportive of Israel. I noticed that the horseshoe theory people on the far right and the far left, they're the ones that are celebrating this thing. Oh, what an amazing deal. What an incredible deal. How fantastic is it? Because it's good for the regime. It's good for Iran. Yeah, it's good for gas prices too, but that's about it. So tell me again how this is good for another country, because Israel hates it. Israel absolutely hates it. So now Marco Rubio's actually been sent out there to talk about the deal, because there's a lot of people with a lot of concerns about this deal, especially our allies, especially people who support Israel, but especially people who look out for the United States and say this regime has killed over 1,000 Americans. They have supported multiple terror proxy groups, which have targeted Americans and been successful in killing a whole bunch of them. They say death to America, death to Israel all the livelong day while developing nuclear weapons. And now they're advocating for Hezbollah to continue existing. How can you continue supporting these guys? Here's what Secretary Marco Rubio said.
Are you trying to ease concerns to allies here in the region?
Well, that most certainly will come up in these conversations. And there are items outside the MOU that are certainly going to be covered, but that's one that will have to be covered. It'll be discussed. I think a careful reading of the MOU will see that when you talk about, for example, a complete and end of hostilities in the entire region, well, that's not possible. You can't have the end of hostilities and conflicts in the region as long as Iranian proxies are launching missiles and drones from Iraq and are participating in terrorism like Hamas did and like Hezbollah did. So I do think it's covered by the MOU, and it is an issue that will be gotten to at the appropriate time in these negotiations.
JD, was that so hard? Was that so hard? That's all you had to say? I feel a little bit better about it. Look, I don't like the MOU. I don't like the things I'm seeing for the deal. But you know what? It doesn't mean I'm going to leave the Republican Party. What, you think I'm going to go to the border jumping, boys and girls sports supporting, denying of parents' rights, tax everything that moves Democrat Party? Absolutely not. So Marco Rubio wasn't done yet. Let's be clear. Marco Rubio was sent on this tour to make the allies in the region feel better. You know why? The reason the Abraham Accords were successful is because they realized Iran is a serious threat to everybody in the region. And we learned they're a real threat with the ballistic missiles they were launching at all of our allies and our own military bases during this campaign. So guess where Marco Rubio is going? To all the countries in the Abraham Accords to calm them down because they're all freaking out. So what's it going to take for Iran to be part of the global economy, the group of nations that's out there, re-enter the world?
If Iran makes a decision, if its leadership makes a decision that they want to be a country instead of a revolutionary movement that exports terror, they're going to have an opportunity to do incredible things in Iran. I'm not promising you that that's the choice they're going to make. I'm saying if that's the choice that they make, then there will be opportunities. And those opportunities could include investment, as you've seen other countries in this region benefit from investment, from foreign direct investment. It won't be our investment, it won't be our government money, but I think that is something that's going to have to depend on progress made on a host of other security issues that have to be confronted in the days to come.
Simple, easy. And guess what? If J.D. Vance had said things like this, a bunch of us wouldn't be concerned. We wouldn't be concerned. Marco Rubio was sent out there to do damage control. Let's be real about why he's out there, to do damage control, because so many of our allies, even though they say, oh, this is wonderful, this is great, they said, those guys are still allowed to have ballistic missiles? Those guys are still allowed to fund terror? Those guys are still allowed to develop their nuclear weapons? Those guys are still allowed to have control over the Strait of Hormuz? How do you reconcile this? How are we going to fix this? Especially because, do you know the history of Hezbollah? It's important to understand the history of Hezbollah. Hezbollah was Palestinian terrorists who were exiled, excommunicated, kicked out of Jordan because they were worried they were going to overthrow them and they didn't want to deal with them, so they sent them to Lebanon. And guess what they did to the majority Christian country? They destroyed it. Absolutely destroyed it. The Lebanese government has been unable to do anything about this terrorist organization. So Marco Rubio made it very, very clear we're not just going to let Hezbollah continue to exist in Lebanon.
Lebanese and Israeli officials are meeting in Washington as we speak. Yeah. Is it your position that that process should be separate from Iran peace deal?
Well, that process is separate. It's separate because Lebanon is a sovereign country. It has a government. And when it comes to Lebanon and what's happening inside of Lebanon, we're going to negotiate and deal directly with the Lebanese government. I spoke to President Ayoun along with the Vice President a few moments ago, spoke to him on Friday. Their people are there now on the ground directly. So the reason why that issue is always... Now, there's an Iranian issue with regards to Lebanon, and that is their support and sponsorship of Hezbollah. And so that factor will be discussed as part of our conversations with the Iranians. But as far as the future of Lebanon belongs to the Lebanese people through their sovereign elected government.
JD, was that so hard? This is what happens when you send a rookie in. I like JD. I like him. I disagree with a lot of things with JD Vance, but clearly he didn't have enough training for this. Look, a guy who thinks he can negotiate anything, and don't get me wrong, he is great at destroying Democrats in debates. He's fantastic about it. Iranians are not Democrats. They are a psycho-terrorist group run by the IRGC. That's who's in control of Iran right now. So now we're doing a good job. Now we're doing a good job of calming everybody down. What about the Hormuz Strait? Iran's saying they're going to start tolling the thing.
Let me ask you about Hormuz, if possible. Can the U.S. and allies, can they guarantee navigation, freedom of navigation in the strait?
Well, that's the law. It's an international waterway. No country is allowed to charge tolls or fees on an international waterway. That's existing international law. That's the way it is in international waterways all over the world, and that's the way we expect it'll be here. So I don't think we have anybody to convince around here in that regard. I think all the countries in this region would agree with us. All right? See you tomorrow. Thank you.
That's how easy it was. That's a pro. That way you calm down the allies, and this is stuff that should have been said originally. Now, granted, it doesn't change what's in the text of the MOU. So it's very nice words, and I love Marco Rubio, and I'm giving him benefit of the doubt. I don't like the MOU, but are things changing in a positive direction? So the Iranians claim they're not, but then again, the Iranians, you can't believe anything they say. The only people who believe everything they say is CNN and MS Now, M Snow. They're the only ones who believe anything they say. So the president got asked about this today. Hey, the Iranians are saying they're not letting in the IAEA inspectors to deal with the nuclear problem. What do you say, Mr. President?
The Iranians are saying there's no scheduled visit for the IAEA inspectors. Is that part of your agreement?
They're wrong. They're wrong. They know they're wrong. They told us inside, and we have it down, 100% inspections. And if they were right, I'd cancel the meetings right now.
And Iran says there's no agreement.
From your view, Mr. President, when will those inspectors actually be on the ground?
At the appropriate time. At the appropriate time. There's no rush, but they'll be on the ground at the appropriate time.
Okay, that is a key word that the administration is now using. You notice Marco Rubio and President Trump are both saying at the appropriate time. I want a little bit more clarification what that actually means. And the reason I'm giving this administration the benefit of the doubt on some of these things, as much as I hate this deal, is because I'm not like Tucker Carlson, who's going to go support terrorism, support Putin, support Holocaust deniers. No, I'm not like that. But I know the president's track record on Iran.
You want to see trouble? Let them have a nuclear weapon. We're doing very well with Iran. They've been decimated, and we're making a deal with them, and we'll see how that all goes. And right now, as you probably heard yesterday, we had 19 barrels of oil, 19 million barrels of oil come off, and that's the biggest in the history of the Strait, the Hormuz Strait. Our stock market is through the roof, and oil prices are tumbling. We actually hit for a moment today. In fact, I think it's going to break it, $70 a barrel. That's lower than we were when we started. And it's been amazing. And the big thing is Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
That is the most important thing. That is.
Yeah, I think, toxic nuclear deals is not the time to use corporate lingo. Hey, tell you what, we're going to punt down the road and we'll circle back and touch base.
Yeah, let's, at the appropriate time. What does that mean? Does that mean after the midterms? What exactly does that mean?
When we all forgot and they're never going to go.
Ah, that's what I'm concerned.
Because then, see, you get to have, and this is crazy, the part I like here, once we've all forgotten, you get to go start another war.
Oh, I see.
You
We're
know,
going to
one of their favorite pastimes.
Oh, I see. Starting wars. I like that. Why don't we just drop the mother of all bombs and finish the sucker off? Let's do it.
Like we did when we dropped the mother of all bombs and didn't finish anything off?
What do you mean? We took out them ISIS fellers for a while until they came back during Biden's years. That was very exciting stuff. Ah,
you got there.
You mean because the terrorists keep coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back? You're fighting an enemy you guys don't understand. I like that you're trying to work out a deal, but I'm not optimistic about it because I know history. And these terrorist organizations, they don't just go, oh, let's go and sing Kumbaya together. They just don't. I think Marco Rubio understands this. I think the president mostly understands this, but he's really in love with the idea of making a deal that nobody else can make, and that's getting in his way. And J.D. Vance is worried about Marco Rubio. Those are the politics at play here. But you know what? As much as I don't like the deal, as much as I'm worried about J.D. Vance, as much as I'm a little concerned about what President Trump's doing, and as much as I love Marco Rubio, either way, that's 2 out of 3 I'm a little concerned about right now. I'm not leaving the Republican Party to go vote for the Democrats or something else, Tucker Carlson. Has he just realized, hey, let's just chase the money? Is that what it is? Count de Monet. Is that what's going on? Is it just, well, I realized I've got all these bots online who follow me who don't actually show up to vote for anything, and he's still polling at like 5% in the middle of nowhere in terms of approval, but he's making a lot of money on the social media. Is that the direction we're going in right now? Not going to leave the party over that. I'm not even in the party. I'm a conservative, and my interests happen to align most of the time with the Republican Party. And the crazy thing is even if my interests only align with the Republican Party 60% of the time or 50% of the time, right now, I do not share anything in common with the Democratic Party. What? Wide open borders, girls and boys sports, boys and girls sports, massively high taxes, no parental rights, censoring people's speech? No, thank you. I'm going to stick with the Republican Party, which leads me to question what exactly is Tucker Carlson mad about? Mad about Israel. That's what he's really mad about. That's what he's furious about. And then you got a whole nother conversation we should be having. Up next, my friend, Zoran Mamdani's crew is dealing with the primaries tonight, his Hamas caucus. Are any of them winning? Polls have closed in New York. We'll bring you the latest results when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Speaking of reaching you on the road, by the way, got this great text from the 425. Talk about a perfect coincidence. Right when you started playing Tucker Carlson's monologue about quitting the Republican Party, I entered the eastbound tunnel on I-90 coming onto Mercer Island, and all I heard was fuzz for the whole time and ended just as I drove out of the tunnel. Perfect. Excellent. Why do you hear that music you don't normally hear on our show? Because we are giving away tickets to see Hinder live in concert at the Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel on July 3rd, together with Blackstone Cherry. That's right, my friends. But if you want to win these fantabulous prizes, head on over to KVI.com right now for your chance to win. Guys, this is one of the few bands to grab massive crossover success. Their debut album, Extreme Behavior, climbed to number 6 on the Billboard Top 200 chart and was the second top rock album. So wouldn't you want to see them in concert at the Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel? Head on over to KVI.com right now. Enter your information on the contest page for your chance to win. Let's take a look at the election results so far tonight. Polls have closed on the East Coast. You've got elections in South. You've got primaries in South Carolina, in New York, in Maryland. The results I'm looking at right now, I don't see anything decisive yet. Nothing really coming out of the woodwork yet. So far, it just looks like the numbers reporting in. We're not seeing any results yet. We will keep you updated as they continue. The ones I'm most interested in are out of New York. In New York, you've got a whole bunch of candidates endorsed by communist and jihadi Zoran Mamdani. What's happening is the Democratic Socialists of America, they have nothing in common with the Democrat. They have everything in common with the Democratic Party. What am I talking about? They're taking over the Democrat Party a district at a time. A lot of these guys are full-on Hamas supporters. Most of them are communists, socialists. And I'm not saying that to exaggerate. They identify that way. They just realized the Democrat Party was ripe for the taking, so they took it. Somebody like Ro Khanna, he's one of the few men in the squad, but I question, of course, if he's still a man or not. Ro Khanna is a representative. He was on Bill Maher the other day praising Mamdani.
So you think Mamdani's a great one, huh?
I do. I mean, did you see his Knicks speech? I mean, anyone
not the issue that most concerned me. I don't
it's worth a watch because the speech was not just about the Knicks. First of all, he recites every Knicks player. I mean, I couldn't do that about the 49ers.
Gives a about the Knicks. He's the mayor of New York.
And also, wow, he can recite all the players on the team in his city that he's been studying nonstop, because even though Zoran Mamdani says he's been a lifelong Knicks fan, he moved here, 5 years ago from Uganda? I didn't know they follow the New York Knicks in Uganda. Give me a break. I know they got a large fan base, but I don't think it includes Uganda. Come on.
I mean, they probably have a pretty false sense of which teams have won the NBA Finals for
yes. Yes, probably true as well.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Zach's implying that they gave out the other T-shirts in Uganda, right? That's what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying nothing.
Okay. Anywho, his Knicks speech, huh? The Knicks speech. Let's hit that speech a little bit for a second here. What did he say that Ro Khanna was so impressed by?
And we need that because, as Gramsci once wrote, the old world is dying and the new world struggles to be born.
Quoting communists. Okay, let's keep going.
Now is the time of monsters. These monsters take many forms today. In those who fund television ads that blanket the airwaves with misleading and bad faith attacks about Claire, Brad, and Dari. Those who would rather spend far more on political contributions than they would ever be made to pay in taxes. In AIPAC, for whom the only thing more frightening than democracy being allowed to run its course is an end to genocide and Netanyahu's war.
Oh, the Jews! Well, that's a hell of a speech about a team that won the championship. Can somebody explain to me what that has to do with the Knicks? The dude's wearing the Knicks jersey. This is right after the parade. He goes and gives this speech? That's what he's talking about? So after spewing all that anti-Semitic nonsense, the next day he was asked about it, and he doubled down on it.
Some members of the Jewish community, including Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer, were alarmed by the language he used at the rally last week, calling AIPAC monsters who move dark money. These are phrases that invoke old anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracy theories, What do you say to those who are concerned that the language you used is dangerous?
Now, I want to be very clear. We're talking about a status quo where children are being killed on a daily basis.
They're
More
not.
than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli military since the so-called ceasefire.
Terrorists.
Even an Al Jazeera journalist, Ahmed Wishah, was killed this past Saturday by an Israeli strike.
Funny you should mention that guy. Zoran Mamdani is getting dragged because that guy, on his own social media, posted video of him firing guns because he's a Hamas sniper. So tell me again how he's just an Al Jazeera journalist. Wow. Just wow. Oh, Zach's shaking his head. He's got a thought, not a thought. Should he touch it? Microphone?
Maybe he was auditioning for an Alec Baldwin film.
Oh, no. No jail time. No jail time, Alec. No jail time. Well, no, he's dead now, so he's not going to jail. That guy's super dead.
Alec Baldwin?
Not Alec Baldwin, the terrorist.
Oh.
No jail time.
Yeah, not Alec Baldwin. He's still very much alive. Alec Baldwin. Yes, this is the Democrat Party now. It is the party of Zoran Mamdani. It is the party of AOC. There is no Democrat Party. It is just the Socialist Party. What the midterms are going to come down to is a choice between radical jihadi communists and some more common sense type people. That's what the midterms are actually going to come down to. And you can never be left enough for the left. You got a guy, for example, like Dan Goldman. Dan Goldman is one of the leftiest people suffering from Trump derangement syndrome more than anybody else in Congress. It's like, we need somebody to bash President Trump. Who's available? Well, all our high-profile guys are not available. All right, let's get Dan Goldman. Dan Goldman walks into a coffee shop in New York the other day with his 7-year-old daughter because she really has to use the bathroom. I've been there, man. I feel you. When you can't find a bathroom for the kid, got to find a bathroom. Go into a coffee shop. One person who was working there was kind enough to let him use it. He bought a coffee because it was nice, and he even gave a tip. What happens after that? The Poetica coffee shop posts on Instagram, "Hey, Representative Dan Goldman, we see that you stopped by our shop today for a coffee. Do you see how it doesn't taste like genocide juice? Or are you still having a hard time telling the difference? See, here at Poetica, we don't serve racists, fascists, homophobes, genocide enablers, or anyone in between. Too bad we didn't recognize you right away, or we would have turned you away." They're lying because they took a picture of him. "We issued you a refund. We don't need your money. It's probably coming from AIPAC anyways. Enjoy your loss on Tuesday. Don't ever come to Poetica." So this guy here, who literally is chief of staff, likes walking around in leather gear. I'm not going to elaborate on that. This is a guy who takes the side against Trump every single time, but happens to be a little supportive of Israel. They're banning him because you can never be left enough for the far left. And rather than calling this out, rather than criticizing the rampant anti-Semitism in his own party and these crazy communists, he's so worried about losing his seat that he capitulates to them and just goes back to bashing Donald Trump.
But come on, we're better than this, and we need to be better than this, and we have to stop dividing ourselves so much and try to find the common ground and unify, especially within the Democratic Party, because the person who is inflicting so much damage on every New Yorker's lives on a day-to-day basis is not 6,000 miles away. He's in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And that is who the enemy is that we all need to unify to stop.
No, not the crazy anti-Semite jihadis. Not them. Not the ones who are taking over your party. He is so worried about losing his seat. He's trying to out-left Brad Lander, who's one of the most lefty crazies you've ever seen, and that's who's primarying him tonight. We're going to keep an eye on these races. We'll check in with them when we come back. Also, when we come back, some news from around here in Seattle regarding the World Cup. So people are saying some really great things are happening around here, so how come they're not feeling them in Little Saigon? Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. saw an article in Como News talking about how business leaders in Little Saigon are upset because they're not seeing the benefits of the World Cup because nobody's going on over there. Hang on a second, Zach.
Where's the map?
We're pulling out the map right now. Zach's handy-dandy little map that he found downtown, the Explore the Map with the See and Win mobile app, but we have a printed one right here. Hang on, I'm looking for Little Saigon, so the stadiums are here. That means Little Saigon... what do you know? It's not on the map. Wait, number 46. Is that technically? Let's go over there. Chinatown International District. Okay. Oh, this is funny. It stops at the park. Hing Hay Park, that's where it goes. It doesn't go over. I know I went to a media kind of excursion that was in the Chinatown International District. So I start driving there, and I know where that is. Yeah. And then I'm like, wow, we're kind of going, I'm coming north to south. I'm like, we're really kind of going through it. And then I get to about the stadium and like, oh, we're like 2 blocks from the media center by the stadium. So we're not really in it. Yeah. We're kind of in it. But not really. Not really. Yeah. Why don't they send people over to actual Little Saigon? I was nowhere near the fortune cookie factory. That's right. You know why they don't send anybody over there anymore? I will tell you why, sir. Because 12th and Jackson is over there. And because it's scary over there. And because there's crime and homeless people and drug dealing and you name it, human trafficking, it's all going on over there. So it's all happening over there. And guess what? The little map doesn't have Little Saigon on it. But also, there's not that many businesses left there. I was shocked to hear there are business leaders still left in Little Saigon. Oh, don't worry. They have Pride crosswalks. They have brand new... Thank you, Zach. That brings me back to when my kids were little and wanted to watch Dora the Explorer. Thank you very much for that. Do appreciate it. That is the map. So you've got all this crime and drugs over in Little Saigon. You've got all these crime and drugs over in Chinatown. That's why people aren't going over there. Plus, when you have a lack of businesses, when people are looking for something to eat, they're not going to go all the way over there because there's not that much around there. So you add all that together, they're not going to see a massive influx of people. I'll tell you what, after the game on Friday ended, when the U.S. won and everyone's wanting to celebrate, those people went one direction. Pioneer Square? Right up through Pioneer Square, which is good for Pioneer Square, I guess. But the city clearly, and it wasn't just that's where they decided to go. That's how the city kind of is through barricades and their structuring of the way you leave the stadium. That is where they're being funneled. Yes, they're kind of funneling them intentional back to the hotels. Towards up, it's the route, and if you just are blindly following the crowd, you will go up through Pioneer Square. You will kind of jet over when you get to the roof thing that they always want to protect, and you'll go down to the waterfront and you'll trickle up that way. Right. You go past the pergola. Roof thing, the cover of the outhouse. Yes. Don't damage the pergola. Yes. Don't do it. Right. They're going to hang a left. You'll go up through the waterfront because at that point you've passed the scary part of the waterfront. They don't really want you down by the ferry dock where they got the homeless shelter, whatever it is. The one that used to be the Coast Guard base and things like that over there. Yeah. They don't want you over there. They want you up through Pioneer Square, then go down to where the waterfront's nice and go up the waterfront and trickle out to whatever hotel you're going to. Exactly. So these businesses are mad. They're not seeing the influx because the visitors are being kept away from them. So Katie Wilson announced that she's going to clean up 12th and Jackson. Now, Jonathan Cho found the other day one cop patrolling 12th and Jackson. A couple squad cars came in the meantime, but it looks like it hasn't been cleared out. In fact, I think we'll do a check. We'll give her a week. Friday on my way down to meet you, Zach, because Friday, my friends, big announcement. So you ready for this? This is going to be fun. Yesterday, I got 2 flyers. One from one group, which is Iranians who are going to be protesting the regime. And they said, Ari, can you get the word out on this? I said, absolutely. So they're going to show up and protest. Then I get an email from another group. Actually, it was a WhatsApp message. Ari, would you mind protesting this? It's anti-regime Iranians, pro-American Iranians, and pro-Israel people. And they're all going to be protesting the regime. So this is already lots of fun. How are all these people going to fit in the protest zones, Ari? I don't know, especially when we're going to be taking up a whole bunch of it. Because Zach and I are going to be broadcasting from one of the protest zones outside the stadium. We're going to do the show. Oh, yeah. Hank Williams Jr., you've been waiting all day to use all these, haven't you?
It's a big day.
You've been waiting for it. We're going to be broadcasting from one of the protest zones right there, and we're gonna be ready to go. We're gonna be ready to run. We're gonna be limber. We're not gonna have all the KVI giveaway stuff we usually do. We're gonna be ready to run, because if those groups are coming, who else do you think is coming? Right? We know who's coming, right? The people don't like me very much.
Hide your bricks.
So we're looking forward to all this, and we want to be right smack dab in the middle of it. So Friday's show, we'll be broadcasting from outside the World Cup.
The Ari Hoffman Show from the protest zone while Iran and Egypt play a soccer game while Pride Night goes on.
I'm so excited. Wait. If we have to run, can we hide under the pergola? Can we climb on? No, don't climb the pergola. Don't do it. But we can hide under the pergola, right? If
That's legitimately our backup plan.
Where are we going to go? Cowgirls is open. Quick, go in there. Okay, well, Zach's like, all right, there's some options. All right, we'll do that. Sure.
There's been a change in my situation. For those who remember.
All right, yes. You can find me. I'll broadcast from the Mechanical Bull in Cowgirls. Oh, that'll be a
I'm
picture.
Certified.
Yes, Zach
I'm
is
a licensed operator.
In fact, both people on the show right now are certified Mechanical Bull operators. I don't think they're going to let us do it. You got to bring your certificate with you just in case?
I might.
You might. Save it on your phone.
I think if you pull it out of your wallet, what are they going to do? They have to let you.
They have to let you, right? Yes, I get to run the bull for this guy. Maximum setting. Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news headlines put a smile on your face heading into your evening commute. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. It is time to feel good as we wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And just want to remind everybody about our other contest we have going on. You could win tickets to see Hinder and Blackstone Cherry on July 3rd at 7 p.m. at the Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Oh, boy, could you?
Yeah, you could. We are giving them away now at the KVI website. And if you want to enter to win tickets to see Hinder, one of the few bands to grab massive crossover success, Hinder's 2005 debut album, Extreme Behavior, climbed to number 6 on the Billboard 200 chart. Our second top rock album, Hinder. You can see them live in concert with Blackstone Cherry on July 3rd at 7 p.m. by heading on over to KVI.com right now and go to the contest page for your chance to win. Don't forget, while you're over at KVI.com, check out our podcast, check out our articles. We got lots of great stuff happening at KVI.com right now. Make sure you check it all out. So just want to remind everybody of that. Also, our big announcement that young Zach and I will be heading out to the protest zones out of the World Cup on Friday. You thought it was fun when we were broadcasting from the front of Starbucks? No, my friends. This is going to be way more fun. I assume a lot of running will be involved as well.
We're not playing soccer.
Well, no, but I think some people want to play soccer with our heads while we're out there.
Anything more of a game of tag.
There you go. Can we pick the protest zone closest to Shama Sawant and her lovable band of lunatics? The commies. We'll just go over there by the Embassy Suites. There's got to be one over there, right? Sure. Nah, forget that.
There is.
Yeah.
Remarkably close to the protest. I equate them to like a sidewalk. They're so close to where you want to cross the street and you can see the crosswalk, but it's so far.
So far. In actual good news, my friends, this one here from Como News from Normandy Park, Washington. The sun is high over the diamond in Normandy Park, and according to Edwin Ed Johnson, so are some of the pitches. Johnson is an umpire for South Highline National Little League, a volunteer gig he's held for 56 years. Said he started in 1970. I was walking by a field of kids getting ready to play baseball, and I thought, well, I'll just go down and watch and see what's going on. The casual curiosity turned into decades of service. With 20 games a season, Ed has logged more than 1,120 games. Why does he keep coming back? He says it's the kids. Says he's been umping for a really long time. He umped for my dad, which is a really long time, says Little Leaguer Sam. Ed says he's now an umpire for the children of kids he umpired decades ago. Quote, it's not often you show up to a ballpark and they say, hey, I remember him. He was umping back in my day as well. Being an umpire isn't always a glamorous job. It can require becoming a target for disgruntled parents, but Ed says the kids are a constant source of joy. They're just happy to be playing ball. He says the kids are the same always. The coaches, they get different all the time, but the kids always enjoy playing baseball. Ed's dedication to umpiring Little League caught the eye of another league, the Majors. During a game in May, Ed got a mid-game shout-out at T-Mobile Park, waving to thousands of fans as they applauded him. As for how long Ed will keep it up, he says he'll be behind the plate as long as his body lets him. He says, sometimes a ball will come in and I won't call it. You'll tap me on the shoulder and I'll fall down on my face. That's the end of it. I'll quit umpiring then. Is he saying the gear is holding him up when he's dead and he just collapses on the field? That's a way to go.
Kind of a little prop me up beside the jukebox.
Yeah,
Joe Diffie sort of thing.
That's kind of what that sounds like. I mean, nice story and all. I got to kind of wonder, when does he admit his eyesight isn't as good as it used to be? By the way, funny joke.
I think you just kind of know.
You just kind of know. Funny joke. You ever take the tour of T-Mobile Park? I love the tour of T-Mobile Park. It's great. But what's funny is because of ADA rules, every sign has Braille on it. So what's even funnier is when you go to the umpire's locker room and there's Braille on it, which I think is a funny joke that some people get. The thing that's a little weird about T-Mobile, if you take the tour, all the boxes are named after players from other teams. They're named after Hall of Famers, but they're all from other teams. So I always wonder...
Well, there's a lot of boxes.
Yeah, not that many.
Not a lot of Hall of Fame Mariners.
You would think you put them in famous Mariners, you put up there something like that, maybe. No, it's all Hall of Famers from other teams. Actually, when you get behind the scenes of the Mariners, there's a lot of Yankee stuff in that stadium in the boxes and elsewhere. Well, there's also a lot of Yankee Hall of Famers. There's a lot of Yankee Red Sox pictures up on the inside, unless something's changed since the last time I took the tour. Yeah, I do love the tour, and it's something you should check out. You know which tour I haven't taken? Lumen Field. So maybe I'll sign up to take the Lumen.
Please.
Oh, sorry. Seattle Stadium. I want the tour of Seattle Stadium. It seems more patriotic to me. A little bit more. Maybe it's just the soccer people are a little bit crazier. So, yeah, broadcasting from a protest zone on Friday. Thank you to Zach for arranging or coming up with this insanity.
There's
not much to arrange. We're just going to go down there and figure this out. That's going to do it for us today while we're still alive. We'll have more for you tomorrow. More insane stories, more exciting guests, and, of course, more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.